Hey everyone. I wanted to go a little more in depth about using your own drawings and manipulating them in Photoshop. After looking at your drawings for your patterns, y'all did a really good job, and I think they could be a little bit better. So I'm just going to walk you through my thought process and how I work with my own drawings in Photoshop. So you don't have to do this the way I do it, but I think it would be helpful for you to see like kind of what I do and how I work. So I have drawn this little drawing, this little fashion illustration. I did it very quickly. And I wanted to, I took a picture with the TinyScan app and I uploaded it, so it is now in black and white, okay? So I'm going to, I'm going to make a copy, all right? And I'm gonna go up here to select color range. I'm going to click on the white, press OK, all right, and the marching ants show up, which means that something is selected. So in this case, the white is selected, all right. I'm going to press delete. Now you can't see what I've done because you can still see this background copy, all right, so I'm going to turn this off, and you can see this little black and white grid that designates empty space, okay. So we have deleted the background and only kept my line drawing. Now I like to go in, select inverse. All right, so now I've selected the drawing. The inverse of the background is the drawing, okay? So I like to fill it with black because sometimes it can be a little light. So I'm just gonna press Command Delete and that fills it, okay? Select, deselect. Okay, and there's my drawing. So I'm going to come over here to my background. I'm going to add another layer underneath this background copy. Now, it might be a good idea to rename this. All right, let's call this drawing. And everything I do, I'm going to do below my drawing. I don't want to draw on top of it. I want to draw underneath it, okay? So my first layer here, I'm going to fill with white, all right? Just so that I can see what I'm doing, all right? So I'm gonna come in and erase. Now I gotta get back on the drawing, okay? So obviously I don't want any of this messy stuff. So I'm gonna come in and erase all this out, okay? And you may need to zoom in a little bit to see that you've gotten everything. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be sure I get the corners because that's really where you see that. It's taking that away. That's where you really get the mess, okay? Sometimes there's some fuzzy stuff in here, so it definitely is worth your time to zoom in and clean all this up, okay? So when I drew this, I really liked this. I liked all these like ruffles. I thought they looked really nice. But when I was done, I realized her body was a little squat. And I was like, oh, I need to start over. And then I'm like, well, no, I can adjust that in Photoshop, okay? So I'm gonna go to Edit, Transform, Scale, and I'm just gonna make her a little bit thinner and a little bit longer and leaner. All right. Apply, yes, okay. Now, sometimes it'll click. With a line drawing, it's kind of hard with the move tool. You need to be sure you're clicking on it. So I can move this around now. I kind of like to set my drawings off to the side. There's something kind of dramatic about that, but obviously that is a personal choice, okay? So I can move this all around. I can make a copy. I can do all sorts of things with it, all right? So back to my layer. Layer 1 is just white, okay? Turn it on, turn it off, that's all I've got. Now I'm going to start coloring in her skin tone and her dress. I do not want to work on this layer, okay? Because if I do that, I can't get rid of anything or like add and subtract things, all right? So I'm going to make a new layer. So I'm going to start drawing her dress. Now I have decided, let's see, I'm going to make her dress kind of an orange color. And I'm going to come over here to my paintbrush tool. Now, obviously, that's way too big. So you can come up here and adjust it here, the size. all right? Or I can use my bracket key. Oh, no, wait, hold on. That just typed that in. All right, click. Okay, yes. Okay, good. All right, so I can, sorry about that. I can make my bracket key, make it bigger or smaller, okay? So this is about the right size for me, all right? So I'm just gonna start coloring in her dress. Now you can zoom in and do this like really perfectly if you want. You can use a tablet, which we will talk about in class soon, all right? I don't mind it being a little outside of the lines, and I'll show you why in a minute. This is kind of my style. You guys, need to find your style, and that's. But this is kind of my jam here. Just a little outside the lines. I think it's kind of interesting. All right, and you see I made my bracket key. I used my bracket key to make it bigger so that I could fill in this center. I'm gonna make it a little smaller so I can get this. Okay, so I filled in her dress. I'm happy with that, all right? Now, I'm going to make another layer, and I'm gonna start kind of adding in some color in these ruffles, all right? And I wanna use like maybe a darker, oh, that's too pink, a darker orange color. All right, and I'm gonna make my brush tool a little smaller, and I am going to just kind of loosely follow these ruffles, all right? Again, this is how I am doing it. You do not have to draw this way, okay? But I thought it might be cool to like see how I work in Photoshop to help you, give you some ideas of the things that you can do, okay? So, all right, I've added these ruffles in. And now what I like to do, I like to go in and change the opacity, okay? Because right now they're a little strong. That's a little... So I really just I do this to kind of add a little shading in, all right? Okay, so that's cool. Let's see, I might add another layer. I might go in and add some shading in here. And I actually might work in between these two layers, okay? So you see I moved this on top. I'm gonna work on layer 4. I'm going to get another kind of dark tone. I'm going to make my brush tool a little bigger and give it kind of a shadow on the side, all right? Now, obviously, that looks crazy, right? But I'm going to take it and I'm going to bump the opacity way, way down. Okay, so all this is doing is just adding layers and really enriching the image, okay? If this were just orange, it'd be super boring, right? But we've come in and just added in some nice layers of color that really give it some pop, all right? So now I want to start working on her skin tone, all right? Now, because obviously your clothes go on top of your body, I want to color her skin tone underneath her dress, okay? So I'm gonna go back here to layer 1 and I'm gonna add a new layer. All right, remember, we wanna keep this layer completely clean, okay? Don't draw on your plain white layer. Okay, so I'm gonna come in. Skin tones can be a little difficult. I'm gonna give her kind of a darker complexion. And again, this is very loose, all right? I don't mind it coming outside of the lines. Again, that's kind of my style, okay? Now, I don't like that. That looks bad, all right? So I'm gonna press Command Z, and it's gonna get rid of it. So my brush tool needs to be a little smaller so I can get in those nice delicate angle. Oh, see, I don't like that either. All right, I'm gonna carefully do that and carefully do this, all right? Okay, now her ears, can't just leave her ears blank. That would be really weird. Let's make that even smaller, just kind of roughly. Okay, so that looks good, all right? Now, skin is not one color, all right? Oh, you know what? I don't like that. Let's make that a little bigger and let's bring that all the way. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so as I was saying, skin is not one color, so I like to go in just like we did with the dress and add some dimension, okay? So on top of this, I'm gonna add another layer and I'm gonna add some lighter, let's see, well, so, all right, I wanna go back to my original color that I had here, okay? So this dropper comes up and I can click on a color at any point and it will match it, okay? So I can go over here, it'll match it. I'm gonna come back to her skin tone and match it. Because what I wanna do is I just kinda wanna bump it up a little bit, all right? So I'm going to add some highlights. Oh, I don't like that, fancy. Some highlights in their forehead, her shoulder, her elbow, down the front of her legs. Okay, and again, this looks crazy, right? But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in, bump down the opacity. Now that's a little too much. I do want those highlights in there. Okay, that's looking good, okay? I might do one more just to lighten it up just a little bit. Let's bump. Now that's getting kind of red. Let's do peach. Let's get, yeah, I like that. Okay. Again, I made a new layer. Highlight in here, maybe a little in the breast area. On her décolleté, whatever it's called. Down the side. All right, and let's bump the opacity way down here, way down. Okay, that's looking nice. That's looking nice, okay? Now, again, this is my style, so I'm gonna show you just a little bit of what I do. I tend to come in and kind of darken the eyes and the hair, all right? Oh, don't like that, okay. All right, let's bump that opacity down, see what that looks like. I like it on the eyes, I don't like it on the hair. So let's go in and erase that out. All right, so let's do another layer for the hair so we can play around with that a little bit. I just want something up there that's not just my drawing, okay? So, I'm on the eraser tool. Got to get back on the brush tool. Bump this down. We're just going to kind of color this in. I'm not in love with this, but all right, let's add another layer on top and make the brush even smaller. Okay, that's kind of cool. Kind of wanted her to have like a short kind of pixie cut almost. But you know, I can play with this. It doesn't have to be, you know, perfect right now. I'm just kind of showing you what I do, all right? Now let's go, I want to give her some bumping earrings. So I'm going to change the color. Let's go to like a blue. Let's go straight up blue. And let's get like a, I'm going to bump that opacity down just to give it just the illusion that there's like a bead there, okay? So that's how I work. Now, this is looking really good. I like all this layering. I love the texture. I love all these like layers of color. We've got a lot of depth going on, but I kind of want it to pop off the page. All right, so I'm going to come back down to my layer and I'm going to create a new layer. Now I just use this blue and I think that would actually be perfect, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my brush tool really big, okay? And again, this is kind of my style. You don't have to do it like this, but I'm just showing you things you can do in Photoshop, all right? And my thought process. So I'm gonna come in here. I don't want the whole thing to be blue. I just want like a pop, all right? And look how that pops on that blue. That looks really cool, okay? Now, go to my top, all right? At this point, I got the space over here. If you're working on your midterm, this is where you could put some shapes in and add the patterns that you're gonna use. You could add text. I actually think I'm gonna add some text. So I want to switch back to my default colors, which are black and white. So if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna press D for default, all right? Now you can always go in and change it manually. I totally understand if you do that, but it's nice to know some of the quick tabs. All right, let's see. I can change my font. I want something kind of simple. I'm an Arial girl. Okay, 100 point. I'm just gonna put Meredith Olinger, Spring 2020. All right, that's a little small. Sorry, that was my house alarm. Someone opened the door. Let's see. I'm gonna make that 120. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. Now I can move it around. I think it might look a bit better down here. Okay. And there you have it. Now this was very quick, but this is a way that I like to work in Photoshop. You could also go back into this first layer, and now we could change this color maybe to like a very light blue. Oh, I like that. That looks good. Yeah. Look at how those colors work together. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Oh, here, let me show you how to merge it. Okay, so let's say I'm super in love with this. I think it's really great, okay? I can go in, layer, merge visible, and everything that I have on will merge, okay? I can also flatten the image, which is kind of the same thing, but not really. Merge visible is a good way to do it. Now, you might want to take your drawing and your text out of the equation, okay? And merge all this, all right? So let's say layer, merge visible, okay? Now, I can turn my drawing on and turn my text back on, okay? So that kind of gives me just a little bit of play, so that maybe I can come in and be like, you know, I'm not as crazy about this. Maybe I want to try something different underneath the drawing, or I want to keep this drawing isolated so that I can work with it some more. You don't have to flatten all the way. You can always go in and just kind of group things together, okay? So if you have any questions, please email me. I hope this was helpful. I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. Bye.